My name's Roger Mansfield. I started surfing when I was only 11 years old here in Newquay. That's back in 1963 was the first time I had a touch of a surfboard. And I've been surfing ever since for the last pretty well 60 years. Surfing is so important to Newquay because it has contributed so much to the identity of the town. And sometimes when I see the new arrivals in town, maybe they don't understand the heritage that runs behind surfing. It's got itself a 60-year history, and it is the capital of surfing in Britain. That's been acknowledged. It's been written in books. It's been sailed on the TV. It's seeded the sport in the country of Britain, and indeed on the continent as well. Well, I've been involved in tourism one way or another all of my life, and I think it would be a terrific tourist attraction that would actually identify that Newquay is so prominent in surfing. The surfing statue would really contribute to Newquay. I only have to think of my last visit to Ilfracombe, where I saw a great big statue by Damien Hirst right in front of the harbour there. When I talk to people about Ilfracombe, people go, "Oh yes, the place with the big statue." Hey, the place with the surfing statue, Newquay, home of surfing in Britain.
My name's Alan McBride. I came to Newquay in '61, saw somebody paddle out on a surfboard and thought, that's for me. But there were only about 10 surfboards in the whole of Newquay. And Bill Bailey, who made most of the surfboards, couldn't keep up with the demand because he took so long to make a board on his own that he couldn't keep up with the orders that kept coming in. So he amalgamated with a man called Bob Head from Australia, who was making surfboards in Morganporth, and that became Bill Bailey and Bob Head. And they were backed by a guy from Plymouth called Freddie Blight, who put the money up to make the first factory to make custom surfboards. Newquay wouldn't be as it is now without surfing. People came and still do come to go surfing. I mean, there should be a monument. If you go anywhere else in the world, there are monuments to famous places. Waimea Bay, Sunset Beach. There are monuments to say you are at. This is a very, very important place as far as surfing is concerned. I started on Great Western, same as Roger. There's a nice clique down there of surfers, nice people. And Great Western was the hang. So if there's about 8 or 10 surfboards on Great Western, and that was the whole community. So if we went to Fistral, occasionally, we would paddle across and go through the Gazelle, which is round the corner, paddle across to Fistral, and there'd be nobody on Great Western, because we'd all go to Fistral. You know, Newquay has been involved for 50 years in surfing, and it's about time that people recognise the facts and put a monument up to say this is Newquay, surfing capital of Great Britain. I wouldn't change anything. I think surfing is brilliant.
Dennis Cross. My approach is different because being a London boy, I mean, I'd never heard of surfing in the sort of 50s, and I was a keen diver, snorkeler, scuba diver. This was my main thing. Surfing didn't exist, never heard of it, didn't really want to know anything about it. It wasn't until 1959 I had a phone call from a friend saying, "Oh, I've got a job down in Newquay for you in a hotel." I said, "Okay, that'd be fine." So I jumped in my little MG car I had at the time, bunged my gear in, shot down to Newquay, to the Headland Hotel, and I thought, this is going to be great. Shock horror, rather large waves breaking in. I'm like, oh, what do I come down to? Newquay to me was the only place that surfing existed. I'd never heard of it, and at the time I don't think it happened anywhere else. It was Newquay where the movement was, where the boards were being made. I don't think anybody made a board. There was a guy called Bickers who made a wooden one, hollow, like a little boat, plywood on the outside. I remember seeing him. He was a builder, he was a carpenter, and I think he made a few wooden ones, and that was about it in that early era. Well, the Killer Court is probably where it started. To me, the Great Western was the only place I'd heard of. Fistral was a place where there were rather large waves that no one seemed to want to go to. So my only knowledge was the Great Western. I wasn't aware of anywhere else where there was any surfing, so I think that would have been it, really. I was there at the beginning with all the other guys at the beginning, and that we perhaps was the basic foundations of surfing. Yeah. Right, well, basically, prior to this, we had a thing called dry suits, which was the only thing, as a diver, to use dry suits. Wetsuits didn't happen. It started to happen in the late 50s. Strange material, as much as there was no lining, it was a piece of neoprene both sides, and put it on, you needed to put French chalk in it, or very liquid. You slide into it, and the bubbles would come flying out as you were swimming along there. So basically, this is the thing that I was familiar with as a diving suit. So when I came to Newquay, although the water in the summer was reasonable, but come the October, September, it got a bit cooler. And so the diving suit that I was using wasn't quite right for the job. So I thought we'd do a long john with the arms were free and the long legs. And I managed to buy some material at the time there were various little dive shops around. I got some material, glued it all together. So I made a suit for myself, which was pretty good. People saw it and said, oh, I'd like one of those. So I said, okay, I'll buy another sheet of material, borrow the money from my dear wife, £4 to buy another sheet of material, cut it out, stuck it together, and then it went on until eventually 67 we made enough to form a little company making some very basic surfing type wetsuits that were suitable for surfing. Initially we thought what to call it. People called it Seagull, but then thought, that's a bit close. You've got Seagull outboard engines. They might get the misery, so we shortened it just to Gull, as there were lots of seagulls around, and they've got the little emblem, and that's kind of hit the spot. So that's how Gull started.
Hello, I'm Trish Scarlett, and I opened a small surf shop in 1969. I started surfing in 1964. I surfed with Alan McBride, actually Dennis Cross, all the old boys back in the day, because they were a year or two ahead of me. And there was also two other girls surfing, Sarah Newlin and Gwyneth Haslott. Gwyneth, bless her, in mid-70s is still surfing, but I'm a couple of years younger than her, and I gave up. I couldn't take the cold water, so as good as wetsuits are today, I still am not tempted to go in at this time of the year. But it's been a great journey. I see in my shop now grandchildren of the people that originally came and enjoyed their holidays here. And we used to surf Towan because that was quite gentle. And there was a little wave known as the Harbour Wedge, which was great fun on occasion. So yeah, we really had grand times. And we worked very hard to clean up the image. And Newquay really should have this memorial. I've been to Australia and South Africa, and on their beaches they have, Bondi Beach for instance, has a wonderful statue of a surf lifesaver with the line and reel, and Newquay really deserves to be recognised as really that was the birth, I think, of the industry here. And back when I started the shop, there were no Quicksilvers and Rip Curls, and I did my apprenticeship with Janssen Swimwear and Sportswear, and the first surf shorts made in Newquay I made the patterns for back in the mid-60s. They were known as Two Bare Feet, and it was just a wonderful time being there at the beginning because there was no wave rage. Everybody knew each other and loved each other, and the boards, of course we had no leashes in those days, so when you came off it usually involved a long swim to go and retrieve your board, and then you paddle back out. It was quite much more exhausting than it seems to be today, but and the boards were heavy too. But luckily when I turned up on the beach, there were a couple of South African lifeguards who used to say, "Can I carry your board for you, little lady?" which I just thought was amazing, and that would never happen today. The guys just don't really like their waves being messed up by women. But this is it's great, equal opportunities these days. And often a lot of the girls are doing very, very well. Power to girls. Loved it. People will come and have their photograph taken with it. It's wonderful publicity, you know, it's where it all began, and it should be recognised as such. And I think this is a marvellous opportunity. And I really thank Stuart and Cherry for coming up with this. And it's a great expense they're going to, but the town deserves it, and we're very grateful for them for putting this forward. And I hope it will be very warmly received.
Support the statue, please.